Good morning, sunshine. Good morning. Join us here with Pipsy Poo. Please excuse the TP tree. My elf got to it this morning. She's wrapped up in there with toilet paper, and there's a Barbie down there that's got the toilet paper roll on its hand. I wonder what happened there. I look forward to hearing the creative story that comes about. I'll let you know. So I'm here this morning because I shared the other day that I would join you here. I would see you here, my healing in this situation. Wanted to see a little more of what's unfolded and just kind of process through. And in that video, I also shared that I would have my quiet time and then kind of process that with you guys. I'm curious as to why I want to share the process so much. But also, I kind of giggle at that thought because I am kind of a teacher by nature. Not kind of, I totally am. So, yeah. So, this is probably going to be the setup. Y'all get me raw. Like straight out of bed, straight out of ceremony, out of my quiet time meditation. I have to tell you, this morning it's been kind of fun. So I automatically had my alarms set up. I didn't really realize that I had them set up so early. Must have did that when I made the plans or whatever. And just kind of rolled with it as I got out of bed this morning. And I was setting up and I was like arguing with myself on the couch. I'm like, Kendra, you got to get up. And I'm like, no. And I'm like, okay, you said you were going to do this. Like, let's stick to your word. Let's do this. Right. I'm like, fine. And in my mind, I know my next alarm clock is going to go off in like 10 minutes. And that's my time to wake up Aurora and start my whole morning routine. If you understand mom maths, you understand what I'm talking about. Getting kids ready in the morning. So I'm like, okay, I guess I'm going to do this in like 10 minutes, I still have to set all the computer up, all of the stuff, right? And I'm like, okay, I'm just going to do it. It doesn't make sense, but I'm just going to do it because that's what I said. And then I sat down and I looked at the computer and I was like, oh, it's only 5:50. I have a whole hour. And I was like, wait, is that right? Because that feels too good to be true. And I was like, is that right? And I was like, oh my gosh, it's totally right. So that made me really excited and kind of like, wow, we set this up. Me, Holy Spirit, setting the alarms, thinking about things like, y'all, this has been loose. I don't really have anything written down, no plan, just kind of following the journey, right? Following the flow. And yeah, so I got really excited about that. I know that's probably not a lot, but that made me really excited. It doesn't take much, I promise. Attitude of gratitude. Okay, that's neither here nor there. So I wanted to spend all that time kind of explaining my thought process behind this free flow series, this sharing, podcasting. What came up this morning was really, really good, and I'm excited to share. And me sharing this process, please know that this is like my processing and connecting things live with you, and I recognize partnership, and that's not, I want to do it more in this dimension. I do it a lot with in the ethers and with the, I don't know. You'll see what I mean. Okay. So cheers. Here we go. Okay. I really want to get this piece of art that I saw at the end. I want to create it because it's mind blowing, and I'm going to get to the process of the art. Okay. So when I first sat down and kind of went into the space, into my within cave, my quiet space, call it whatever you want, 0 point. You get to the place, okay? And the first thing that I saw was a meme that I posted it wasn't even really a meme. It was a video that I posted in this group, and it was talking about my brain did a thing, and he said, because if you understand, my brain does things sometimes too, where it like connects things. And he says, God was the only, or Jesus was the only begotten Son, right? And he goes through this whole thing, and the pun at the end says, so then we're all his daughters. And that made me giggle. Someone commented on it this morning. I haven't read the comment or anything yet, but that was the first thing that I thought of, right? So I was like, okay. And then I started thinking about David Hawkins and the consciousness thought process there. And I was like, okay. And if you're not familiar with it, when the way that I understood and was shown the one consciousness, so everything has a spectrum, everything has a field, right? So in the spectrum of consciousness that's been tested through kinesiology and all of the things, he asked a series of questions, and he was talking about, let's say, the consciousness of cows. There's only one consciousness of cows. Sure, they can have different personalities, and if you have cows as pets, or any animal for that fact, you know that each pet, it's like a fractal, right? But okay, so he was talking about an orange cat, like all orange tabby cats have the same consciousness. So they just kind of, so I was like, okay, can you help me understand that, Holy Spirit, when I was reading the book? And sometimes Holy Spirit has to break it down like a child for me, which I'm cool with, right? So he showed me the green, I'm trying to put my water down because I like to talk with my hands. Okay. He showed me this green blob guy from Hotel Transylvania. And he's like, okay, this is all one person, right? It's one consciousness, one being. And he took a strainer and he put it over it. And each hole of the strainer, the colander, was a different creation of the same being, right? Because the different shapes in the hole, sure, they might have all been the same, but the force in different ways, if you put it down this way, it's going to make each one is going to be a unique fractal of the same consciousness, right? And then the colander can also be represented by, I've seen it as like astrology charts. I've seen it as galactic astrology charts placed on top of it, Akashic records, experiences, traumas, frequencies. And it's hard for our 3D mind to, because we want to separate everything and name everything and label everything. It's not a bad thing, but like, please know that the colander and that, okay. So so he showed me that that's love. No. That's how that it happens, right? So that's the one being expressed, and you can put that also as dimensions, those, the colander. So I was like, understanding this whole one begotten thing at that time, and understood how we come through as source, which is love, and those frequencies come on us, or whatever, veils. And if you have ever studied like the tarot, the journey of the fool is to leave paradise with what memories and that sort of thing, and jump into this place. Well, that's kind of some school of thought processes when it comes to how we incarnated here. You can read that thought process even in the first book of the Bible, right? When some say that that's when Adam was put to sleep and Eve was separated out, and Eve knew the stories. God talked to her. But even that is a snippet of the macrocosm, right? Like that's a microcosm of the macrocosm. Because if you believe that God, source, all things, right, separated itself or split itself. And if you have ever looked at like the flower of life, how it was one ring and then split into two, right? Or even that's how cells, zygotes reproduce. But if you, God separated himself so that he could reflect himself to himself. And when I say himself, I'm saying the all split into two, just like Adam was split into two, right? So the masculine principle split into the feminine principle. So when you think about, I'm saying all of this because I don't want us to separate the colander from the being of love. Like it's all the same ish, right? So yeah, that's how it was broken down for me. Okay. So that is the only begotten son, is that God's spark, your spark, your divine spark, and then we have this persona that was shaped by the imprinting and right? So, okay, so you can see this. This is why human design works. This is why astrology works. This is why tarot works. This is why if you go through the Bible, it works. If you go through Bible frequency or language, right? You are spirit slowed down to visibility, glory to glory, right? Like you go consciousness to consciousness, glory to glory. At least this is my translation and journey. So, okay. So the blob thing. Why are we talking about this? Oh, the only begotten, the meme, my journey this morning. Okay. So I was shown that, and then I had the whole process with the only begotten. I was like, okay. So I was kind of sitting there in that for a little bit. And then I started thinking about my journey with self. So when I say self, picture capital letter S, self. People talk about that too. I'm meaning the all spark, the oneness of all of us, right? And in my journey about I think it started in 2012. When I say my journey, I mean my awareness of diving into consciousness, diving into spiritual things, diving into religious things, metaphysical things, becoming aware of more than the role and stories that I had lived up until that process, if this makes sense. Okay. So, my encounters, all of these things. This is outside of like, I've always kind of done it because like I was interested in witchcraft when I was really little and astrology, all the things, right? But I started asking who is God and diving into that consciously 2012-ish, end of 2012, beginning of 2013. So when I say my journey, that's the time frame that I'm talking about. So I was thinking about my journey with self in the sense of like asking God for things and watching it manifest, asking God for, and even thinking about my journey as learning and how this is private to me. And I can't believe I'm sharing this. I'm processing out loud in my robe live. But how I started asking how to see in the spirit and to be taught by the spirit or taught. Um, and I was thinking about my long journeys. So I always, in my quiet time, sometimes it always doesn't look like carving time out in the morning. But in my process, it's been like an all the time thing, right? So if I have quiet time, I need to walk somewhere. Instead of complaining and being mad that I don't have a car, I'm going to use that time. Like, why do I have this time? Oh, we want to talk about this. Oh, okay, so then just kind of process and talk about those things, right? So when I was learning how to see in the spirit, I was walking to work, and I started seeing the clouds and was being shown that. And how I didn't want to see, like, all, at the time when I was learning how to see in the spirit for myself, I was doing healing and deliverance ministry at church. Okay. So in this part of my day, I'm learning about um, demons and angels and entities. And I had already learned a little bit about dimensions at this point. And that was something that I felt. Um, so my journey with dimensions, I'm all over the place. And I'm not sure that any of this makes sense, but that's okay. Learning to see in the spirit, I would ask, right? So this has been a process of asking questions, being shown answers, asking questions, being shown answers, trusting it and moving in it. That's the summation of all of what I was trying to say. And I was trying to give little examples of how and when. And I will give that. Um, so I was seeing all of that this morning. I was seeing the time where I was shown about the one only begotten. I was seeing the time of seeing in the spirit, learning to see in the spirit. I was getting shown the time of the first time that I ever got really drunk. I was walking home from work in the spirit, right? So, and I just had so much gratitude, and I was talking to spirit, Holy Spirit, talking to Papa God, and just kind of um in this place of gratitude. And all of a sudden I became so aware of God and like everything, all in all. I was seeing in the trees, and I just had so much gratitude for the trees and the relationship of me breathing out and singing and them breathing that in and releasing the oxygen to me. And I was just seeing this beautiful harmony. And I it was amazing, amazing, so intoxicated. And I just gave so much glory to everything and just gratitude the whole way home, and just like, wow, you're so beautiful, and just seeing things through this fresh, wonderful lens. And it was beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And so it was like a flip book of memories. Okay, so that's what I'm trying to explain, is a little bit of all of these memories. Another time was walking home from work. Two different works, by the way, which I think is fascinating. One was really close to home, and I was working at Disneyland and just being able to walk super close. And the other time I was working at UEI College on the other side of Anaheim, and it was a super long walk. Um, so one time I had a shit day at work, and I was walking home. I was thinking about times where I would ask God for like confirmation, or I really needed something. And this day, I really needed a hug. This day, I had a shit day at work. And I don't even remember exactly what happened. That doesn't matter. The only part of this story that matters right now was I was walking home from work, and I was just so low, and I was crying out to God on my way, just kind of talking. And when I say God, like, please insert your own word there, right? Because it's a multifaceted thing, right? My thing is source, that blob, that the all. Okay. Anyways, I'm doing that, and I was like, "I could really use a hug right now." And out of nowhere, this complete stranger was walking down the street, like, I could have been in my own zone and not even paying attention, and they could have just popped up. They could have been there the whole time. I have no idea, but all of a sudden, she was there, and she just looks at me, and she was like, "Can I have a hug?" And I'm like, "Absolutely!" Like, and I just hugged her, and a lot of people would be like, "Kendra, that's weird." Yep, it is 100%. But and I was so grateful for it in that moment, and my journey to that point had led me to trust that that's a thing. So, and I'm going to tell you why I think that's a thing. So I hugged her and it was beautiful. I was so grateful. We left. We didn't exchange names. Like there was a little bit of pleasantries. She walked her way. I walked my way. We were both changed in that moment. I know that I know. Um, I know because I know how much I was changed and how grateful I was for it. And in my flip book of memories this morning, I saw why I could trust that was one time when I was asking for confirmation over a situation, I had put out, when I say put out, at that time I was learning about fleece. I don't know if you come from the church world, I'm sure you know what that is, where you ask God for something. So I was petitioning and asking for a certain something. I was actually asking for a text message from my husband. If you've met me in the last couple years, you probably have a certain being in mind, but just know that my journey has led me through the multitudes. Okay. So, um, but at that time, I was asking for a text message from my husband, and I had a certain thing that I had wanted to hear or whatever. Right. So, I was working as a full time volunteer. Uh, Head coordinator, administrator, um, in a position at a church, a community center, in a school in the middle of Detroit. And I was in the food pantry closet and I was organizing it and putting away donations. And this woman walked in and she just looks at me and she says, "You are so beautiful. I just really needed to tell you that. You're beautiful inside and out." And she walked away. She was a volunteer. I knew exactly who she was. Um, we were not super close. She was actually like a huge financial contributor's wife. Um, and they were there talking to the head pastors and doing all of that. So I was just kind of working and doing my thing. And she just walked in and said that to me and then walked out. And I was like, wow, okay, well, thank you, you know? And I heard that's how I send a text message. I was like, oh, snap. So that's where I started to have, I started to trust that thing. And there's been a multitude of experiences layered on all of that, right? So 2D world, Mr. and Mrs. Flat, dimensions, frequencies, layers, all the things, right? So when I was learning dimensions, I was in said church full time. I lived there. Like I literally gave up life. I felt led to give up my condo, give up my car, give up social engagement. I gave up Facebook. I literally fasted from everything. I shut out everything. Time of consecration. Jumped in fully to this experience. So I lived at this church. I was in one of the dorm rooms, and I would just I was in prayer 5 hours a day, like prayer house of Michigan, whatever. I was learning to commune and all of the things. I Yeah, so this one time I could not sleep. I was wide awake and I had just got done reading the book of Colossians. I don't know. When I read Colossians now, I don't see what I saw then. I'm sure it's there. But when I read it, I was so like, wow, it's all in here wrapped in a little bow. And it explained to me, or I got to download, upload, I don't know, of dimensions. And it felt very metaphysical to me. Okay. So what I saw in that was, think of, no, okay, let me start at the beginning. Mario Brothers. If you started playing Super Mario Brothers back in the day with me, like I'm from Atari days, y'all. Okay. So if you started playing Super Mario Brothers, he started off as a 2D flat, right? If you wanted to run forward, you ran right. If you wanted to run backwards, you ran left, right? You had the little thing. If you jumped, he straight up, straight down, right? Occasionally you could, right? Okay, but anyways, so if I, as a 3D, 4D, we all know I'm a multidimensional being, as you are too, but that's not what we're talking about. But if you stuck your finger in Mario's world, you see your finger as a 3D, but Mario is only going to see that as a line, right? He's only going to see it as a line. Those boxes, you saw the face of them. He only saw a line. Well, I don't know, was it cubed? Because when they started coming out with 3D, right? He could now run this way, this way, this way, and this way. You see what I'm saying? So when a dimension was added, things, right? Access points, if you're a math person, you know those graphs. X, Y, and Z would come out at like the angle. Okay, I might be traumatizing some of you guys from high school math, but okay. So there was that understanding of dimensions, and then it kind of grew from there, and I started understanding the shapes of things, and that's when I started understanding a hypercube unfolded was a cross. And I started seeing the parallels of those stories in symbols within that. And I could go on a whole tangent with that about the cross being a portal and the hypercube and dimensions and time and space. But okay, I'm not going to. Healing of timelines, all of that. Anchor point. Okay, am I going there? Because that wasn't where I was planning on going. Oh, and then this is where in my journey this morning, I randomly heard the name Larry shouted out. And I was like, okay. But hold on, there was something really funny said with Larry. What did Larry say? No, I was saying something to Larry, like it's a judgment free. Oh, no. Keep your assumptions to yourself, Larry, is what I heard. And I was like, oh, that was random. Like I'm in all of these memories of my journey. And then all of a sudden I heard, keep your assumptions to yourself, Larry. So that was funny to me. So I'm going to say that. Keep your assumptions to yourself, Larry. See, it's so funny to me. Okay, I cracked myself up. Clearly. Y'all, today is a good day to have a good day, okay? The funny thing is I'm not putting on a show. I do this shit in the living room by myself. I just don't usually talk out loud. Sometimes I just sit here. Could you imagine? Aurora is a special being. Okay, Aurora's my daughter, if you don't know. I'm just imagining her sitting in there hearing cackles. Like, could you imagine, like, just waking up in the middle of the night? Because I usually do this in the dark and have my quiet time by myself and just hearing a random loud Kendra laugh and then coming out and I'm just sitting on the couch, like, laughing by myself in the dark. That's creepy, but it makes me laugh. Imagining that. But it's also kind of real life. Okay, so moving on. Anyway, so I was in those hold on, I'm like literally tears. My tears are leaking, they're streaming down my face. Okay. What was the point of all of that? Processing the encounter, the artwork. We're building up to the artwork. We're getting to the artwork. So I was thinking about all of those memories led me to my relationship with self, thinking about how I love when I have encounters. And you guys kind of saw a little bit about my journey, the healing journey that I posted the other day. How it all interweaves and connects together, and the multifaceted wisdom of God, like, just amazes me. I'm in awe, seeing how it all connects. So thinking about relationships, last night I was on a call with a very, 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 very special friend of mine, and we were just discussing all of the life things, all of the things going on, and just in awe together. And she was sharing with me about all kinds of stuff, but in particular galactic astrology. And we were discussing my birth chart, because of the encounters and the dreams that I had in that journey. Like, she was unpacking things more for me and helping me look at different perspectives through her journey and what she was getting and all this stuff, right? So we were talking about those things. Oh, it's time to wrap it up. And I started, I heard her granddaughter told her that she takes rainbows and eats them up in her body, and it turns into fire, it turns into energy. Like, thinking about this, right? So I have been asking, because I once saw a visual of the flame, the light in me, the glow in me, the divine spark that pushed through the persona of Kendra, right? That I saw around me multiple angles and view, like facets, dimensions, fractals, but on every single one of them was a rainbow. And this is the piece of artwork, okay, that I'm going to create. It was like a water droplet, a piece of sun. No, I'm all over the place. Piece of sun with the fire, the light emitting from the inside. And it was reflecting the light, projecting the light outside of it, all around it, and all of these people. But when I saw the light all around, it made me think of a disco ball, and it was shining on things all around. And it also, like, that was that multifaceted rainbow. But this kid, I've been asking, like, well, okay, well, what does that do? And what does this look like for others? And how am I impacting, and all of the things, right? And this little bitty wisdom baby, she says, I eat rainbows and it turns to fire in my body. And I saw the other side of that as that inside of me projecting the rainbows and all of that, and like the energy, the synergy. And I was like, so that's the artwork, is this little sun drop. And I feel like I want to add this piece, because this was a piece of the journey this morning. Was one day I was at this glory party, and I was intoxicated in the spirit. Like, when you're in these high vibrations, frequencies, your mind just kind of goes numb. It's out of it, and you're just enjoying the fellowship, and it's amazing. It's like a little slice of heaven on earth. And I say that loosely, because okay, anyways. What's the song? Oh, baby, a place on earth. Okay, that's not where I was going. But I was standing at the sink, and all of a sudden I started turning around, and I was like, someone was like, Cantor, what are you doing? And I was like, I don't know. I just want to feel what it feels like to be like the sun and create your own energy. And I had no idea why I was doing it. I had no idea why I was saying that. And I've been asking, like, what was that? And since then, I've got so much revelation on the sun and the plasma being and creating your own energy and all of the things, right? And now I'm understanding this light. So that's what this is this morning. So there's a word in this, okay? I promise. Okay. So like that's your divine spark. That's your who you are on the inside. You are God embodied in a vessel. Your vessel has had a name, a persona, a storyline, but there's more to that. You're more to that. Greater is he who's in you than he who's in the world, right? Like your vessel is in the world. He who's in you is the God spark, the divinity within, the Christ consciousness, and you can become aware of all of those dimensions and frameworks and things that created your persona to be, so that you can co-create. That's like you can choose, you can elevate, you can change, you can alchemize, you can transmute, you can serve. There's all of the things, all of the things. The artwork is this sunshine droplet, because I don't want it to be like a spherical thing, or do I want it to be a spherical thing like a disco ball? But I want the light generated within and just shining out on all of the other disco balls. But I saw them as all kind of like dim, and this, but that light, like the spark that makes them happy and smile and connect with that within, right? Yeah. What is the point of all of this? I have no freaking idea, but it's fun. It's fun unpacking it and unjourneying it and journeying it. Like, I guess I do have a little bit of an idea to encourage you to journey, to encourage you to process, to encourage you to find your divine spark, to encourage you to go within, be afraid and do it anyways. Look like the crazy ass, creepy person sitting in the dark, cackling by yourself, or on YouTube early in the morning in your robe, live in your living room. Like, whatever, do it. Have fun with it. It's your one, I don't want to say it's your one life because that's bullshit. But it's your one life right now. It's your right now, right? And your right now affects the things, right? So like, why not? Why not? Just do it, right? Smile. Have a great day. My alarm's going to go off again. I got to go get that girl up and start all the things. So welcome to my process. Welcome to my mornings. Maybe we'll see each other again. I'm actually getting ready to go out of town to one of said love feasts that I was telling you about, the slice of heaven on earth. If you ever get a chance to go to fellowship, that's what I call them. I don't know, the retreats. Like, please go, please come. This one I'm going with Energy Gal. I will link her on here. Jackie Myers. I will link her on here. I will tag her. I know they're coming. Danielle. So many people that have helped me grow and shift and change and be and love, and those divine reflections along the way of self. Like, they've all been such an intricate part of my journey. And I hope to open this up to so many more in the future with these fellowships. There's another one coming up in July. I'm sure there will be, but I definitely meant to say January in Florida that I'm going to. So this weekend is New York. I will not be doing a live. I might do a live from New York, but I don't have anything scheduled. So it'll be a spontaneous flow while I'm there. I'll try to get it in, but I can't promise anything, right? So, yeah, if not, I will for sure see you guys again Monday morning. If you want to join me, cool. If not, that's fine too. If you know somebody that you think might help, or I don't know who in the hell this would help. Maybe someone. I mean, it's funny. It's a fun journey. It's interesting, right? Is it funny or is it lame? It doesn't fucking matter. I don't know if I'm supposed to swear. Sorry. Maybe I'll put an age limit on this. Anyways, okay. Bye. Love you. Have a great day.